Hello guys, I'm Ava. Have you ever been betrayed by the people you call family? Well, I have. Actually, they were my in-laws. I lost my husband about 2 years ago due to a car crash. I have not been whole again and don't think I will ever get over the fact. It was sudden and the loss was devastating. During the grieving period, I grew close to my mother-in-law Diana and sister-in-law Irene. They were my last connection to my late husband, and I was going to treasure that connection forever. However, I learned late that they had no love for me. Before I tell you what they did, I must give you a few pointers about my relationship with them. Diana was actually living rent-free in an apartment I owned, and I was paying her bills. She left her job due to some issues, and I felt bad for her. She always brought up the fact that my late husband would have taken care of her. So I decided to take on that responsibility since she was also in my family. I also helped out Irene at times with small amounts as well. But it was never enough for them. They always wanted more, and they came up with a plan to make me pay for all the luxuries in their lives. I was rather stupid and naive when Diane called me asking for help. I stayed in contact with her fairly regularly, although I didn't have time to visit due to my horrible work hours. So when Diana called and sounded off, I knew something was wrong. She said, "I have some grave news, Ava. I didn't know who else to call since you are the only family I have except Irene and Aspen." "I'm glad you called, Diana. You sound anxious. Tell me, what's going on with her?" "My poor daughter is on the verge of being homeless. Aspen recently lost his job and Irene is having trouble making ends meet." "Wait, what? When did this even happen? How did it get this far?" "I have no idea, Ava. From what Irene told me, Aspen lost his job out of the blue. They don't have much savings and it's really difficult for them to get a decent job in their area. Things are tough, Ava." My mind was spinning from the onslaught of information. I was really surprised to know that Irene was in such a dire condition. From what Diana was telling me, things were not looking good and she had the right to be concerned. Actually, I was concerned about them too, since I consider them family. I said, "This is extremely unfortunate, Diana. I feel really bad for Irene. Are they going to be okay?" "I don't know, Ava. My son would have made sure his sister was okay if he was alive. He definitely would have helped her out. God knows what will become of my poor daughter now." "Don't say those things, Diana. Irene will be fine. My husband may not be with us anymore, but I am. You're my family, and so is Irene. I will help you out as much as possible." "Really, Ava? Will you do what my son would have done for his sister? Irene needs help, and I know that." "I will help her out, Diana. I promise you that. I will call her right now and figure something out. There is no way I would allow my sister-in-law to suffer and be homeless." Diana seemed happy to hear me say those words. I was naive and didn't know what she was up to. I genuinely wanted to help my sister-in-law. Also, Diana was right. If my late husband was alive, he would have helped Irene out as well. I was merely trying to fulfill the responsibilities that my late husband couldn't. After hanging up on Diana, I called Irene right away. She picked up soon, almost like she knew I was going to call. That should have been my first red flag. However, I ignored it. I made some small talk before finally broaching the topic. "Hey, Irene, your mother called me a while ago. She said that you have been having money problems recently." "Oh my God, Ava. My mom told you that? I'm so embarrassed. I don't know what to say." "No, Irene, you don't have to be embarrassed. Things happen and there's nothing to be ashamed of." "Still, I'm so sorry Mom pulled you into my mess. Ava, I really didn't want to burden you with my problems. It would have been different if my brother was alive, but you don't have any obligations to us." Irene's sad voice had gotten to me. Also, the repeated mention of my late husband was making me feel emotional. Irene and Diana both knew how to get to my softer side. They didn't even have to try hard. When Irene mentioned my late husband again, I immediately wanted to assure her and said, I know your brother is not here to help you, Irene. He would have been heartbroken to see you so sad. But that doesn't mean you don't have anyone else to help you. But I'm literally about to lose my house, Ava. I don't know what to do. Who will help me get back on my feet? It's not like I can take a small loan and pay them back. Someone has to support us unconditionally. I will be that person for you, Irene. I will help you out with whatever you need. You don't have to look anywhere else. You can come to me anytime. Really, Ava? You would do that for me? Of course, you are my family too. Even if your brother passed away, you are still my sister-in-law. We are a family, Irene. It's my duty to help you. You are already helping Mom, Ava. I don't want to be a burden. What nonsense, Irene. You just need help for a few months. It's no big deal. Tell me what you need. After I reassured Irene, she seemed to have been thinking about what I said. Back then, I thought that she was just a little shy and embarrassed. But no, I later realized that it was all for show. Irene is an exceptional actor. I have no idea why she never pursued an acting career. If she had, she wouldn't have done what she did to me. I really couldn't even imagine everything being a setup. I mean, Irene seemed embarrassed when she said, "Well, if you insist so much, it would really help if you could send money every month just till we get back on our feet." Sure, how much do you need, Irene? With rent and all the bills, I'll be needing $3,000, Ava. The prices are pretty cheap here, and Aspen needs gas to go to interviews and grocery trips. That was the second red flag for me, but again, as stupid as I was, I ignored it. It baffled me a little why they needed $3,000 for two people. To me, it seemed to be a little over the top, but then again, they did live in an expensive city, so I thought nothing more about it. Since I had promised to help them out, I agreed to what she was asking. I had a good job that paid well, so I was able to send Irene $3,000 every month without being broke. Sure, it did make a dent in my savings, but what could I do? I had promised Irene help after all. So with everything decided, I started to make the monthly payments to Irene. For the next 6 months, I was giving Irene and Diana money to get by. Not once did I stop to think that maybe I should step back and let them fend for themselves. I didn't want them to suffer in any way, and I considered it my duty to help them. Diana and Irene lamented a lot when my late husband died and left everything to me, so I have decided to help them out however I can. My stupid self didn't stop to realize that now, instead of taking care of one person, I was funding the lifestyle of 3 people. The truth about what Diana and Irene were actually planning was revealed to me after those 6 months. I was busy with work, trying to make money to feed 3 more people. But the people I was taking care of were up to no good, or at least 2 of them were up to no good. I found out about it when I accidentally ran into Aspen at a coffee shop. I was happy to see him after a long time, but was confused about what he was doing in my city. I said, "Hey, Aspen, long time no see. What are you doing here? Has Irene come with you?" "Yes, Irene is with me. Why are you so confused to see me here? We live here now." "What? Wait, what are you talking about?" "We moved here a while ago, Ava. Didn't Irene tell you about it? I'm sure Diana must have mentioned it. You must have forgotten about it." My mind was reeling with all the information. I was trying hard to understand what on earth was going on. What Aspen was saying didn't make any sense. He said that he and Irene moved to our city a while ago, and Diana knew about this all this while. What I didn't understand was why they kept it a secret from me. And their story about Irene's homelessness wasn't making sense anymore. I said, "I have no idea what you're talking about, Aspen. I was never informed of these things. You were saying Diana knows, right? But no one informed me anything." "That's strange. We moved here about 5 months ago, Ava. I left my last job and found a better one here." "You found a job 5 months ago? What are you saying, Aspen? Are you sure Diana knows? This is bizarre." "Diana definitely knows about it, Ava. I'm sure, because we're living with her." We're saving for a house in this city, so Diana suggested that we move in with her. She even offered to help us with the down payment. I was so shocked that my expression changed completely. Aspen noticed it too, since his expression changed with mine. He immediately knew that something was seriously wrong. By that time, I too knew that I was being played by Irene and Diana in some way, and I was starting to get really angry at them. I looked at Aspen and said, "There is something seriously wrong, Aspen. Diana is a poor woman. I give her money for utilities and she lives in my apartment. There is no way she can afford to make any sort of down payment towards your house. I know that you let her live in your apartment without rent, but I don't know about the utilities. It does make sense since she doesn't work. I don't know why I took her words at face value. The bizarre part is that she has been depositing money into Irene's account every month." What? Diana had been giving Irene money? Yes, she'd been giving her $3,000 every month. Irene confirmed it and even showed me that the money has been deposited. That's why I never questioned Diana that much. It hit me then. I finally understood why Irene and Diana had been making up stories. Irene wasn't destitute at all. No, she just wanted to take my money and use it to buy a house for herself. And Diana was helping her do this. They planned it together. Those two were exploiting me so that they wouldn't have to work hard like me. My world came crashing down around me. These people who were considered to be my family were just using me for money. I was nothing but an ATM to them. The betrayal just left me aching inside. I was almost in tears. Aspen didn't know a thing about their plan. He was left in the dark and made to believe that everything Irene and Diana was doing was honest work. Now, I have two options. One was to keep my mouth shut and leave without telling Aspen the truth. I could have walked away, confronted Irene and Diana privately, stopped giving Irene money, and left them to figure out their next steps. Option 2 was going nuclear on them, and I chose option 2. I chose to tell Aspen the truth. I said, "They have been lying to you, Aspen, and they have been lying to me as well. Diana isn't the one sending that money. It was me who sent it." "What? But why? I don't understand. Why would you send us money, and why are my wife and mother-in-law lying about it?" "Because they wanted me to fund your new house, Aspen. They wanted to drain my money so that they wouldn't have to work hard. They lied to me and told me that you were going homeless. They asked for money and I helped them by sending $3,000 every month. I had no idea that they were playing me." "Oh God, what are you saying, Ava? You thought we were going homeless?" "That's what Diana and Irene told me, Aspen. Irene said that you lost your job and were struggling to make ends meet. They even guilted me by saying that my late husband would have helped them out." "This is terrible, Ava. I don't know what to say anymore. They betrayed not only you, but also me. They played us for fools. I don't know how I would even look at my wife after this." Aspen was reeling from what I said. He was actually a good man and nothing like Irene. I could tell that the betrayal stung him. He couldn't believe how evil Diana and Irene could be. I took this chance to really talk to him. I told him everything that went on and didn't sugarcoat anything. I didn't care if Aspen would want to end his marriage after this. In fact, I was hoping he would remove himself from a scheming woman like Irene. After I was done talking to Aspen about everything, we came up with a plan. We were going to keep quiet and take care of some things before confronting Irene and Diana. They didn't deserve the chance to come up with a plan once I would reveal what I had in store for them. I didn't even reach out to them for about a week. It was already nearing the end of the month, and I knew Irene and Diana would call me asking for the monthly payment. So I decided to wait for that, and I wasn't disappointed. The calls came where Irene and Diana wanted to know when I would be sending the money. I simply told her to wait and hung up. Then I proceeded to Diana's house to confront them. When I reached Diana's house, it was Irene who opened the door. It was a weekday, so they probably weren't expecting me to show up. Irene took one look at me and froze. When Diana came to the door, she froze as well. Irene tried to make damage control by saying that she had come to Diana's house yesterday for a short visit. Diana kept nodding at her. I smirked, walked into the house and sat down on the sofa. They sat with me silently, looking and casting worried glances at each other. I broke the silence and said, "So, you called me this morning asking for the monthly payments. I thought I would come by in person and clear the issue directly with you. I'll just cut straight to the chase. You two won't be getting any money from me anymore." "What? Why, Ava? Why would you suddenly stop the payment? You know we need the money." "Yes, you promised to take care of me. Now you're going back on your word. I can't believe you would abandon us like this. My son would be turning in his grave." I laughed out loud when they tried to guilt me with my late husband's name again. They knew they were caught, but were trying their best to avoid the issue. Oh no, they wanted to act like everything was fine. Too bad I wasn't going to allow that. I said, "Oh, my dear mother-in-law, your son would be turning in his grave, but not for me. No, he would be ashamed of what his mother and sister tried to do." "What are you talking about, Ava?" "Maybe the fact that you are not destitute and your husband has a brand new job in this city. I also heard that he makes way more than he used to at his last job. Care to tell me why you two would lie about it to me?" "It's not like that, Ava. Aspen got a job very recently. Irene literally just moved here yesterday. You are overreacting and misunderstanding the situation." Yes, you are misunderstanding us, Ava. Aspen just got the job and we are still struggling. He didn't even get his paycheck this month." "Is that so, Irene? So you two were not lying to me so that you could take my money and buy a new house? Is that what you're telling me?" Diana and Irene now looked really pale. They were taken aback by my words. I don't know what they were expecting to happen. I would have found out eventually when Irene would buy her house out of the blue. I guess they wouldn't have cared about my reaction because their goal would have been achieved. But I caught them red-handed before they could make their plan successful. And now they were going to pay for taking advantage of me. They simply didn't know that yet. Diana and Irene were nervous and trying to act innocent. They said, "What are you even talking about, Ava? Who said we are buying a house?" "Don't try to act all innocent and clueless, Irene. Your husband, Aspen, told me everything. I met him at a coffee shop accidentally, and eventually the truth came out. The poor man thinks that Diana is giving you money for the down payment. What do you have to say about that, Diana? Your daughter is not on the brink of homelessness after all, since she is living with you." "Look, I know we didn't give you the full story, but this was necessary. You can't expect Irene to live in a bad apartment when I and you have our own place." "Wow. Did you forget the fact that this apartment isn't yours? I let you live in my apartment, and you think you can take advantage of me for the sake of your daughter? Do you think I would just overlook what you did?" "Oh, come on, Ava. You're overreacting. You have plenty of money already and 2 fully paid houses. You don't need so much money anyway. It didn't kill you to send me money. Clearly, I needed it more." "That's right. If you can help me, you can help my daughter as well. She's your family. I'm sure my late son would have wanted this." Irene and Diana straight up started to make it seem like it was not a big deal. Somehow, me working hard and earning money made them entitled to it as well. I didn't understand their messed up logic. There probably isn't any logic anyway. Also, there was the fact that they were dragging my late husband into this mess as well. It all made my blood boil, but I plastered on a cheerful expression. After all, it was time to take some revenge. I smiled and said, "There is no use talking about my dead husband, Diana. Don't use his name to hide your horrible intentions. You two are just plain moochers and don't deserve my money. Good for me that Aspen decided to send me the money back, so I have it sitting in my account now." "What? Did Aspen return the money to you? He knows about everything?" "Of course he does, Irene. The poor man was severely embarrassed and decided to send me the money back." I must say that he was rather angry. Why would you tell him everything, Ava? And why did you take the money back? I needed it. This was a horrible thing to do, Ava. Irene needs to buy a house soon so that she can start a family with Aspen. You can't just take that money back. What family are you talking about, Diana? Irene is not going to have any family with Aspen. Didn't you hear? Aspen is going to separate from her. Irene and Diana were staring at me with their eyes bulging out of their sockets. Yes, it was true that Aspen was considering separation and even divorce. He met with a lawyer to draw up the papers just the previous day. He was ready for battle. Irene wasn't told of this yet, and Aspen gave me permission to break the news to her. Irene and her mom were not happy with this. They said, "What are you even talking about, Ava? This is nonsense." No, that can't happen. Aspen would never leave me. I won't be so sure of it, since he has already met with a divorce lawyer. Do you think he would want to be with a scheming woman like you? No, this can't be happening. You just destroyed my life, Ava. How could you do this? There is no use blaming me, Irene. After all, I wasn't the one who decided to betray the woman you call your family. You don't deserve an ounce of respect from me. What you did was uncalled for, Ava. You will apologize to Irene right now for trying to break up her marriage, and you will help her buy a house. If you don't do this, we will never consider you our family again. Diana thought that giving me an ultimatum would make me beg for forgiveness. Their audacity and toxicity made me want to puke. My face of disgust was difficult to hide, but I managed somehow. Instead, I simply laughed and informed them about how deep in trouble they were. I said, "Oh, there won't be any need for threats, Diana. I don't want to be your family anymore. I'm done allowing myself to be used by you two. There is no way you will get anything out of it anymore. In that case, you can get out of my house right now. We don't want to see your face ever again." Of course, Diana, I don't want to be in your presence either. But first, let me correct the mistake you just made. This house is not yours, it is mine. And I am evicting you from this place right now. Here is the eviction notice. What? You are evicting me? How could you do this to your own mother-in-law, Ava? She's a poor old woman who has nowhere to go. My brother would never forgive you for this. She stopped being a poor old lady when she decided to scam me out of money. Instead of preaching to me, you should start looking for a place with your mom. There is no use depending on Aspen since he already found an apartment to live in on his own. Oh, there is one thing left before I go. Remember when I said that I won't be giving you money anymore? Yeah, I was serious about that. You two are on your own. With that bombshell, I exited the apartment with Diana and Irene begging me not to do this to them. I went back home, and those two bombarded me with texts and calls. The next day, they showed up at my house crying about how Aspen was seriously leaving Irene, and now they were about to become homeless for real. They shamelessly tried to use my dead husband as if it was going to work. I simply told them that if they didn't get off my property and stop harassing me, I would call the cops. At the end of the month, Diana was forced to leave my apartment. I had threatened her with legal action if she hadn't. Aspen had left a while ago since he found a one-bedroom flat for himself. He didn't take Irene with him, and the couple are currently going through separation. I have talked to Aspen, who has made it clear that he doesn't trust Irene, so the marriage was doomed. Irene and Diana are still throwing a fit, but were both forced to go back to work minimum wage jobs. So I got my money back and made them fend for themselves after they shamelessly tried to use me.